Right, I think we're live. I'll do the usual check on the on my phone to make sure it's showing up on mine. Then we're good to go. Yeah, there's me. Let's go. So I'll give it a minute or so for people to start joining in, but hopefully we get a few people who need the help, need the advice on how to deal with their reactive dog. The little parcel, can you just take it up to your mum? I think it's over there somewhere. Have a look for it. It's a little parcel with your mum's name on it. Sorry. Yeah, so hopefully this reaches a few people who are struggling with a reactive dog and they really want to finally come to the end of that problem. They want to get it solved for good. They want to be able to take the dog out. They want to be able to go on walks without worrying that the dog's going to be lunging and barking at everything that they see, whether that's dogs, whether that's people, whatever else it is that they're lunging at, cars, cats, squirrels, tractors, bikes, scooters. People have dogs that are reactive to a lot of stuff. I'm going to talk today about dogs that are reactive to other dogs, but when I say dogs, you can just kind of change that to trigger. So when I say reactive to dogs, I just mean reactive to whatever they're reactive to. So if you know anyone with a reactive dog that could do with hearing everything that's about to go down in this, tag them in it. It'd be great for them to join in and get some free advice, free sort of no nonsense, no like bullshit, basically how to fix it. If you go online and Google reactive dogs and how to stop my dog lunging, how to stop my dog barking, whatever else it might be, there is a million articles, there's courses, there's YouTube videos, people using ChatGPT now to try and get answers to this question. And it kind of gets to the point where people are like, I've tried everything and this is just what my dog's like now. This is just life. And it's no good for them. It's no good for the dog. Nobody's having a good time. You're dreading walks, the dog's dreading walks. And it's not a nice situation for anyone to be in. And that's where I come in. So my job as a dog trainer mainly focuses on reactive dogs that are making lives an absolute nightmare on walks, can't take them anywhere, and the world gets very small. They're not able to go out as much as they should because they make it so difficult for their owner. The owner doesn't want to take them. And I think that's quite sad. So that's what I spend most of my days doing. Got a really good track record of fixing reactive dogs. Go through the reviews and stuff. You'll see that this is something I fix on a regular basis. So this advice isn't to sell you some Halti harness or calming plug-in or anything like that. But if you do want to chat about help with your dog, I'm here to talk about that. But yeah, not particularly trying to sell you any quick fix. I'm trying to give you the lowdown on what's involved. So I'll start with, why are dogs typically reactive? Why is it that this is such a big problem? Why am I getting busier? Like, why is there more customers for reactive dog trainers? And I've got a few theories on it. One of them being that it's getting harder and harder to be a dog these days. There's more and more dogs than ever. You know, people have got, there's a rise in dogs as pets in the UK and in other countries as well. USA, I know they've got a similar problem. And there is less and less freedom available to those dogs. There is more restriction. There is more traffic, more people, more children, more everything that makes it hard to be a dog. It used to be something like 30 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, from what I'm told, I don't remember this, but from what I'm told, dogs would just be let out in the morning. They'd go off on their adventures and they'd come back for the meal, and they'd just all go off on adventures together. You'd see them walking down the street. They'd be congregating outside of like houses that had a bitching heat in there, and nobody really batted an eyelid at that. Nowadays, if you see a dog out on the street, it's plastered all over Facebook immediately. Whose dog's this? You know, dogs that aren't to be just let free to roam. It's illegal. So it's harder and harder to be a dog. There's more restriction, less outlet for them to just do what naturally they would be doing if they didn't have all those restrictions. And that builds pent up energy, frustration. They don't get to learn about the world enough because they're not able to experience it at will. They've got to experience it at the end of the lead, or they're in the house the rest of the time, and they become scared of the world. Or they become so interested in the world that they get frustrated when they can't interact with it because they haven't been able to just be like, yeah, all right, that's another dog. Oh, that's a person. That's a whatever. If you've ever been anywhere where there's lots of street dogs, so like Turkey, for example, there's Anatolian Shepherds knocking about all over the place, and they're not interested in other dogs passing. They're not interested in humans passing. They've got freedom to interact with it if they want to. So they just don't feel that frustration. They don't feel that fear. They know they can move out the way if they want to. They know they can interact if they want to. There's no frustration and no fear. And that is the two root causes of reactivity in 99% of dogs. They're either scared, so they react to create space. They get a relief. I kick off, that other dog goes away. That other dog's owner takes it away, or my owner brings me out of the situation. So I know this behavior keeps me safe, or at least they think it does. They kick off, other dog goes away, mission accomplished, I kept me safe. The other side of it is then frustration. Dogs that have either been given too much freedom too quickly, they've been let off the lead as puppies and been able to do whatever they want, and then they started getting into trouble, so we put them on the lead, and now they can't handle that lack of freedom, and they lunge them back and kick off out of frustration. So when we're talking about a reactive dog, it very much looks the same behavior, regardless of where it's coming from. With most dogs, it's lunging, it's barking, it's kicking off, it's the same looking in from the outside. But there are some sort of differences which I'll talk about, which help us figure out where our dog's coming from. We can figure out why our dog is doing it in two ways: their body language and how they sort of regulate themselves after and during, and also if we look back on experiences that they've had. So typically, if it's a frustrated dog, the reaction will finish and then that's it. Like once they've had their tantrum, they've kicked off and the other dog's gone, they come down immediately. They just go back to normal like nothing happened, because there wasn't a load of fear present. It was just temper, just frustration. So there was no fear present, so they're not having a come down from all that adrenaline. They're over it pretty quickly. It will be at the higher pitched end of that dog's bark as well. It'll be a higher pitched bark. It will usually be a little bit more a bit more yappy. Even if it's a bigger dog, it'll be a bit yappy for them. Does that make sense? And they will often be the dogs that are popping wheelies on the lead, that are on the back legs, like really straining to get to it. Those dogs tend to be the ones that we can say, yeah, that's frustration, because they wouldn't come down quickly if they'd been in a state of real fear, because it doesn't go away quickly. If you've ever been like really scared, it doesn't just stop immediately. Your body needs a bit of time to readjust and sort of get rid of that adrenaline and that cortisol that became present. So if it's happening and then it's over, if they're on the back legs a lot, if there's a lot of sort of bounciness involved, tails going wild, that tends to be frustration. And if it's fear, as you can probably guess, it goes away quick. It doesn't go away as quickly. They take a little bit longer to regulate after it. They've got to come down from the stress and the sort of the survival instincts that came in. That's a good sign to say, yeah, there's probably a bit of fear there. There will be a lot more back and forward in the lunging, more than just up, back legs, and it will be the deeper bark that you get, deeper for your dog. Reason for that is deeper tends to mean bigger, tends to mean harder. And if they're trying to create space, that's the best bet. Try and look as hard and sound as tough as you can. Deeper back, longer sort of come down from it, and often once they've had one, that's it, the walk's ruined. We're going to have loads. They're going to react to everything now because they don't get time to come down before the next one. So have a think. If you have got a reactive dog, have a think, what does that sound like? Which one of mine of those does my dog sound like? Does it sound like the kind that he's just having a bit of a frustration tantrum, or does it sound like, oh god, yeah, mine, once it started, they don't come down, they're dragging all over the place, sniffing, they can't get their head straight, and then the next dog gets an even bigger reaction, and the walk just gets worse and worse. Once you know where it's coming from, it does give us a bit of a head start on getting to the bottom of it. Now, the way I do things, there's not a massive difference in the approach. It's just knowing certain things are going to need to be taken into account. What that means for me is if it's frustration, I'm much more likely to be focusing on telling the dog, hey, you can't do that, while trying to give them an outlet for that behavior elsewhere and giving them a lot of like structure to understand when they can go and interact with the world and when they can't. And once they've got that structure, they can kind of make peace with it. Yeah, okay, I understand that. A lot of dogs just don't have that. 99% of dogs I go to don't have a structure on when they can and can't interact with the world. So they just assume everything's kind of out to get them. Frustration, yeah, I'm going to be a little bit clearer on you can, you can't do that. Because once they know when they can and when they can't, they just have to follow that kind of structure. With nervous dogs, it's very, very similar, but we're going to focus a lot more on like desensitization, a lot more on teaching them that good things happen when those dogs are around to create a different emotional response. There will still be some no's if there's any dangerous behavior. There will still be some level of structure. We still need to let that dog know when they can and can't do whatever, but we focus a lot more heavily on creating a better experience every time a dog's present so that our dog doesn't feel that dread. They feel good stuff happens when dogs are here, and they bank and catalog and get a list of like these positive experiences they've had so that they then learn to expect one. So it kind of counteracts that fear a little bit, that expectation of something bad. We replace it with such a history of good things happening that there is an expectation of good things. Hopefully that makes sense. That then puts the dog in a different emotional frame. You can't be anxious that something bad's going to happen and really optimistic something good's going to happen at the same time. They don't sit together. You're either one or the other. You can't be both at the same time. You can be neither or one or the other. You can't be both. So we set a big precedent on, hey, look at all the good things that have happened when dogs have been around in the past. This is a good thing to be around. Not so much interacting with it, but just being around dogs is something that creates good experiences. They can then look back through that bank of experiences, feel like, well, this isn't going to be any different. This is going to be just more good experiences. Hopefully that makes sense so far. So when you're out there with your dog and you're like, why are they behaving this way? I wish they weren't lunging. I wish I didn't have to hide behind cars just so they don't see a dog. I wish I didn't have to go out at 5 in the morning or 11 at night just to get like a stress-free-ish walk. And I wish I didn't dread taking my dog out. I'd love to be able to take him out more. Knowing where it's coming from is always going to be helpful, because if you know they're scared or if you know they're frustrated, at least you know then, right, what is it that I need to mainly focus my efforts on? So hopefully that makes sense. We get a lot of people, now this is one of the other reasons why dogs are, especially, I was going to start with the frustrated ones. A lot of the reason why the dogs that are frustrated struggle is because their owners have tried everything. And that isn't a good thing. People come to us, I'd say like 40 to 50% of people that message us at some point in the conversation will say, yeah, I've tried everything. And either they haven't tried everything, because if they had, it'd have worked by now, or they've tried a little bit of everything and just been adding different mixed messages, different ingredients to make a dish that they don't know, that they haven't got a recipe for. So you go on YouTube, you go on Google, you go on Facebook, you go on ChatGPT, which is the new one. It will give you loads of advice, and it will all sound very, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I see that. I'll give that a try. Or it's very salesy. It's like, try this calming spray, try this no pull harness, try this treat, try whatever. And you're like, well, that sounds like it should work. So we try it. And the difficulty with a dog with frustration-based reactivity is they don't know whether they can or can't, and when they can and can't interact. And we've been given mixed messages, which only creates more confusion and frustration. Confusion is very frustrating. When we then move on to the next thing, our dog hasn't had a chance to figure out what the last thing was about. Typically, people haven't tried anything at all with consistency for a good 2 or 3 weeks to see if there's any signs of improvement. People are like, yeah, I tried that for a walk or two and it didn't work, move on. And our dog is just getting more and more mixed messages, and they just give up trying to make sense of what we're talking about. So how do we get them to understand what we're talking about? How do we get them to care? That is the $1 million question, I guess. A lot of people come to us and like, oh, my dog isn't interested in food, so we can't use that. Or my dog doesn't like play, or we can't use that, or whatever else it might be. And yeah, it helps if your dog's got a lot of motivation, but it's our job to build that, to talk about. But also, a lot of dogs that come to us, they don't know the difference between yes and no. Not really. Or they kind of know, but they don't care. What we want is, what we need if we're ever going to fix frustration reactivity is our dog needs to have a yes that they care about and want more of, and a no that they care about and want less of. I don't care what anyone tells you, what anyone tells you. Those two things are an absolute non-negotiable in this scenario. If you were to ask someone what are the two most important words in any language, 90% of people will say yes and no, because with those we can then start learning more, because we then have positive and negative input feedback. Your job to begin with isn't fix the reactivity in the moment. It's to make sure your dog has a very, very strong, very understood yes that they care about, that they love, that they want to hear again. That can be done with food, it can be done with play, it can be done with affection, harder, but some dogs do love a little bit of fuss, so it can work. And our job is then to make sure there is a very clear and understood no that they care about. That can be however you go about doing it. People have different sort of moral standpoints on this. Mine is, as long as we don't harm the dog or emotionally traumatize the dog, and they care about what we've done to create that no, we're okay if it means that they're safer because they have that no. If me saying no stops them running into a road and me correcting that behavior stops them ever doing it again, I'm cool with that, as long as we didn't harm the dog or emotionally traumatize them. The only time where I'd say, like, you know, any sort of harm is if we're breaking up a dog fight or something and we just end up like hurting one of them in the process or whatever, but it saves a life. But we're not talking about that sort of stuff. We're not doing any harm to dogs, but we are making sure they understand and care about the consequence. Discomfort and harm are different. Once we've then figured out how to sort of give our dog that yes and no, we can then start teaching them yes and no on certain less distracting, less impactful things than other dogs, for example. And then we take that on the road and then we start to apply it on their behavior around dogs, but not before then. It'd be like me going to a new country. I don't even know yes and no yet, but then you ask me to go and have a conversation with someone. I can't do it. I need to learn some basic communication system before I can hold a convo. Yeah. We move on to the stuff with the other dogs when we know our dog cares about the yes very much and they really care about the no, because then if they get it right, we say yes, they do more of it. If they get it wrong, we say no, they do less of it. I'm going to talk about the yes more than the no to start with. The no, I do tend to recommend have a dog trainer help you with that bit, because that's the bit that if you get that wrong, it can cause problems. You could harm your dog, you could emotionally traumatize them, or you could just be diluting and getting absolutely nowhere, and it's easier to make a mess of. But I'm going to talk massively about the yes to start with, because when they get it right, we need to make them want to get it right again. So how do we do that? before anything else, you need motivation. You need to build something that they are motivated to achieve from us, whether that's food, whether that's play, or whether it's affection, whether it's freedom to go do their own thing. You need to find something that motivates your dog. And this is where most people come unstuck, because treats didn't work. So that's it, treats don't work. And on that, when people say, oh, treats don't work, that dog very rarely has like a really high food drive that we've helped them build, because we just feed our dogs as a matter of course. We just feed them twice a day, and we feed them the same amount, and we don't really know if that's the right amount, whether it's too much, not enough, whatever. We give them treats on top of that for this, that, and the other. We give them like free access to food, and then we want them to work outside for treats around other dogs. Sounds kind of silly to me, but it's what people do because we don't know any better. What we need is a dog that loves to engage with us, loves to interact with us in exchange for food or play. How do we do that? So this is like, if you get nothing else out of this, you will end up with a food-driven dog. So that will give you a massive head start. What you need is, you need to know how much food does your dog need? How many calories does that dog need? Make sure the food you're giving them isn't crap, full of carbs, and which turn into sugar, which make them feel stuffed, not very appetized, and also very bouncy and full of energy because they've got all that sugar and then they crash. Good food, high meat content, low carb content. I don't get paid for this, but check out wolfworthy.co.uk. That's a really good one. That's what I feed my dogs. Once you know how much they're supposed to have of their food, you want to split that into ideally 3 meals, but if it has to be 2, it has to be 2. I get people work and stuff. You offer them their first meal of the day by hand, and you just have fun with it. But as soon as they're like, I'm not interested, that meal is gone for the day. So let's say it's a dog that has 400 grams of food a day, big dog. We offer them 200 grams in the morning. We throw it around. We tell them to come get it off us. We ask them to sit. There's a video on my YouTube with a little engagement session that'd be probably a good one to check out. But we just have fun with it. And as soon as they're like, I'm not interested in this, cool. We take that and listen to it. We're like, okay, you're not hungry. Cool. We don't panic. We don't put gravy on it. We don't mix it in with wet food. We don't like shave some cheese on it. We don't warm it up. We don't do something to make it more appealing to a full stomach. That's nonsense. We make the stomach less full by listening to them when they say they're okay. And we take that meal out of the day. So if that dog had 400 grams, we take 2 away. Sorry. We take 2 away. I've realized when I do that I'm giving everyone giving them from the V. We take 200 away because they didn't want them. But then by the end of the day, that dog either eats the last 200 or they don't. But at some point, the stomach then says to the brain, oi, come on, get some food down here. And then the brain goes, okay, I'll look for food. I do it every day, like so I'm out and about training dogs all day, and I don't really worry about getting food until my stomach sends a signal to my brain that says we could do with some fuel. And then my brain starts thinking about, how can I get some food? Do I need to find a shop? Have I got anything in the car with me? Or if I'm at home, is there anything in the fridge? I don't think about that stuff until my stomach tells my brain to think about it. Hunger isn't a bad thing. It's a very, 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 very good thing. We'd die if we didn't have hunger because we'd forget to eat. But hunger is the signal from stomach to brain that some fuel needs to come in now, and brain then turning that into action to achieve food. We need to stop, point blank, need to stop giving our dogs food that they don't really want right now, because all that does is it devalues food more and more and more and more. And then you've got to try and give them sausages or chicken or warmed up steak or whatever else to try and get them to pay any attention at all. And the motivation gap between food that they want and a dog they want to kick off at is just enormous. We're going to work on bringing this wanting to kick off at the dog down. That'll be our nose. But we could really do with pushing up the motivation for food. So eventually we kind of cross that threshold and the scales tip, the seesaw swing, whatever you want to call it. It tips to my motivation to earn food is higher than my motivation to give that dog an earful or to bite that bike that's running past or whatever else it might be. You don't get food drive by giving higher quality food or higher value food, tastier food, what you do is create a new benchmark. So imagine someone who's got absolutely loads of money. They've got, they can have anything they want to eat, and they're having steak every night for weeks. Eventually, that's just a new benchmark. That's just normal for them. Anything below that, I'm not eating that. What would happen if they suddenly didn't have all that money and they started to have chicken nuggets and chips and beans on toast and cereal? They'd be fine with that after a week or so, because that had become their new normal. That become the new benchmark. What we don't want is that the least our dog will even give us a blind bit of attention for is warmed up steak, because that tells us that they're just interested enough to eat it, but it's not interested enough to give them a different reason to think differently about that dog being there. So we make sure our dog has a high food drive. It makes the rest of the process 100 times easier in so many ways. Once we get to the point where our dog is like, yeah, let's go, give me the food, and they're chasing it around the front room, then we take it outside and we stop feeding them inside. Might just be in the garden or in the front, like out the front of your house, but we start feeding them there by hand, making it fun, getting him in the habit of having good experiences outside, not being on the scan for everything else quite so much, engaging with us, and in the habit of taking food from us. Hopefully that makes sense so far. But then if they don't eat outside, we don't go in and feed them inside. That meal's gone. You weren't that hungry. You're fine. But then that cycle repeats. The stomach tells the brain, and it might be a day or two before they're like, yeah, do you know what? Actually, let's go. And that's fine. Dogs are way more efficient with calories than we are. They can last a lot longer before they need any sort of like intake. They make them last a lot longer than we do. That builds us our food drive. The next thing we need is a really solid reward marker, something like a yes or a clicker, something to let them know that when they've got it right, something amazing happens. So if nothing else like happens, you've got a marker that tells your dogs you've got it right. So even if they see a dog 100 yards away and they look at you instead, we want to be able to tell them that was amazing and make them really glad they did it. So a marker is something that comes well before the reward actually happens. It's a signal that a reward's coming. It's an IOU, it's a pay slip. It's a signal that when the dog does something, we say yes, or we click the clicker, we say nice, whatever your marker is to your dog, that reward marker that tells them what you've just done is going to get you paid. Come get something. Instead of trying to distract them with food or just giving them the food and them not quite knowing why it happened, the marker is a snapshot, pinpoint moment in time. It's that is why you're getting this, and they come and get paid. They know what it was they did that made you give them the reward, because you said yes when they did it, instead of just trying to give them the food or just sort of praising them a little bit. Praise is fine, but mark the moment and then praise them while you're feeding them or while you're playing with them. That then gives us a really strong signal to our dog. It gives us one of those two most important languages in any language, words in any language. Yes, yeah, good job. Do more of that. That's what you're able to say to your dog. And if they care about doing more of that, they'll do more of that. And if that was engaging with you instead of that of a dog, if that was recalling from that dog instead of kicking off at it, if that was doing a heel with you, if that was lying down instead, if that was doing a sit, anything that wasn't kicking off at that dog that you want to mark and reward, they will do more of. Moving on from that, when we then move on to getting out into those situations with other dogs and practicing, we've got our yes. And like I said, the no, I'd always recommend doing it with a dog trainer, but at the end of the day, all it needs to be is something that your dog really, really doesn't want to happen. And you have a signal to let them know it's coming because of what they did. So if they get it wrong, no. And whether that's a pop on the lead, whether that's people use like sprays of water or the noise spray, whether that's an e-collar, whether that's prong collar, whether that's just telling them off in a very stern voice. Different dogs have different levels of what they find aversive and actually care about avoiding. So that's why I recommend going with a dog trainer, because if you come in way over the number on that, you're going to freak them out and you're going to create a whole different problem. So always worth having a really good dog trainer for that bit. But once you can say no and your dog knows that a correction follows that, you can then pinpoint where they go wrong with no. You can pinpoint where they go right with yes. And that is as powerful a structure as you're ever going to have. It's as clear a communication structure as you're ever going to have. No means do less of that. Yes means do more of that. And if your dog cares about both and understands both, you can fix any problem in the world with your dog. Next up, if we are going to go into those situations, we want to make sure we're actually giving our dog a fighting chance with their lifestyle in general. 9 times out of 10, the dogs I go to, there is at least one lifestyle issue that is contributing enormously to the reactivity. Might not be causing it, but it'll be contributing massively. For me, the non-negotiables for the people that, so anyone that does work with us, like if you speak to any of those guys, what they'll tell you is that they did a lot of prep stuff before the session started. So we have an online platform, and in there we do like group calls, we do like question and answers, and there's like a group in there, like a Facebook group, like a dead supportive little group, which is fantastic. Can be quite lonely being a reactive dog owner sometimes, so I'm told. So I'm not sure if I'm able to share my screen, but if I can, I shall show you guys what that looks like. Let me see if I can screen share on this bad boy. If anyone knows how to screen share on Facebook, please let me know. You'd think I'd know how to do all of this stuff, but I don't. Interactivity. Essentially what it is, I'll do it if I can find it. Essentially what it is, however, is a group with, we do live calls, we do all sorts of stuff in there, but also there is a bunch of videos, and there's an entire section in there that is a prep section. What used to happen and what used to happen with me and what happens with I'd say the vast majority of dog trainers is they turn up for session 1, or you turn up to them for session 1, and that's great. And you turn up with whatever dog, like the dog in whatever state of trainability they're in. Some I turn up to, they've got a really good food drive. Others I turn up to, no interest in food at all. So I'm already, like, it's already harder. For some I turn up to and they've got no play drive, and that makes it harder. Some have. For some, they've got a yes and a no, and some don't. For some, they've done decompression and they know how to settle, at least at home. Some I don't. So what we do now is we make sure everybody's got all of that before I turn up. So we give everyone a few weeks before their first session to go through the section on our online program. So the sessions are in person, but they go through this whole pre-training like setup. I then turn up 9 times out of 10 to dogs without these lifestyle issues that make reactivity harder. So we don't have to spend sessions talking about how you need to build food drive. We don't spend sessions talking about how you need to play with your dog more and exercise them more. We don't spend sessions talking about how your dog needs to be on better food. We get all of that done before I turn up, and then we can get stuck in on the sessions to actually doing the work. But most dog trainers, you turn up and you learn all that in the sessions, and it's kind of a waste of sessions if you ask me. But it means I turn up 9 times out of 10 to dogs that have got everything in place. But I'm going to talk you through them here, and it'll kind of relate to what's in the prep section on the online platform. So on there, I'll even get the video. I wish I could share my screen with you guys, but it doesn't look like I can. On there, one of the big things that we cover is decompression, teaching our dog how to settle. So the way we do that, a lot of it's like tethering to start with. So sit with your dog, have them on a lead when they don't want to just sit and chill. Put your foot on the lead so that they can't really get anywhere, and they're just kind of a bit stuck until they give up, realize there's nowhere else to go. This might take half an hour the first time you do it, and they finally settle down and put the chin down. And we do that at least once, twice a day to give our dog the experience of going from here to here on that arousal adrenaline scale, and knowing how to get there quicker, and just being able to find their way from hyper to calm quicker. On there, we talk about the food drive. There's a whole guide on how to introduce your yes marker and make sure there's the right amount of like play, the right amount of like physical exercise, mental exercise is all there. Knowing how to do those things and do them for your dog and your breed. If you're trying to train a reactive dog and tell them, hey, stop kicking off, but that dog never gets any physical exercise, never gets an outlet, never gets any play to build their physical confidence, to get their energy out, to build their bond with you, to learn how to be in a heightened state and still make good decisions. Like, there's a million good things that come out of that. It's really hard to fix a dog that isn't getting that stuff. Like, fix a reactive dog without that. A dog that's got no drive for food, no drive to work. All you've got is just telling them no all the time, and that doesn't work either. If that dog never learns to switch off and doesn't practice switching off a lot, they're not going to be able to switch off from a heightened state when another dog is present and they're scared. So we get all of that done beforehand. So you need to make sure, and my dog's needs met is the long and short of it. If we can give them an opportunity to open their legs up, run at least once a day, an opportunity to do a good bunch of sniffing at least once a day, an opportunity to have a really good play, whether that's tug, whether that's fetch, whether that's flirt pole, whether that's chase, whether that's just wrestling with us, whatever. If we don't give them a chance to have some proper physical bursts of energy at least once or twice a day, that makes it harder because they're just stockpiling energy to blow on the other dog across the road or whatever else it is they're going off at. And making sure that the food is not just full of crap. Like, if I turn up to a dog that's eating crap, has no food drive, never gets played with, doesn't get walked very often, doesn't get any mental exercise, never switches off, doesn't do any decompression, I'm up against it. It's going to be a really hard case for me to succeed in, and we're going to have to spend a load of that getting that stuff in place before we just go and tell the dog, hey, stop kicking off. So we get all of that done before it starts. So what you guys want to make sure, if you have got a reactive dog, is that you're meeting the needs, making sure they're physically and mentally fulfilled every single day. No excuses. I don't care. Like, what you say, your dog doesn't know that you were busy. Your dog doesn't know that you weren't feeling well. They just know that they're feeling pent up. They just know that their needs aren't being met. You need to make sure that you're meeting those needs. We're all grown-ups. Like, we know that it needs doing, so we've got to get it done. Making sure then that those needs are met, and we can say with confidence, yeah, I'm meeting those needs. So I've given you enough of a to-do list of healthy options that I'm now going to tell you that you need to take reacting to other dogs off your to-do list. One of the things we tend to find is people add to the to-do list. We've got our dog's to-do list is like, go for a pee outside, chase the cat, have a sleep on the settee, kick off at dogs, bark at the neighbor. No. And we then add to it to see, well, if I add a Kong or I add a licky mat, maybe they'll take off barking at the neighbor. It doesn't work that way. But we take stuff off and replace it with healthier choices, healthier things, but we need to make sure they've got those outlets. On to once we know we've got all those needs met, yeah, we can start getting stuck into some reactive training. And one of the final pieces, something that I've been harping on a little bit more at to people recently, and when you've got a dog that is reactive, typically what's happening in there is, whether it's fear or whether it's excitement and frustration, they are in a highly aroused state. They are charged up. They are full of adrenaline. That is essentially fight or flight. Now, fight or flight does not rely on logical thinking. If you've ever been in a state of fight or flight or seen anyone or anything in that state, nothing logical's happening. It's stay alive time. It's lizard brain. It's keep you alive. It's keep us safe. We act fast. We don't hesitate. We either run at full speed or we fight at full strength. We don't make good choices. We make the choice that keeps us alive. We don't think very well in adrenalized states. People that do think in adrenalized states, soldiers in a battlefield, highly adrenalized, there's bullets flying, you've got to think. They do it pretty well. Athletes, there's 40,000 people watching a football match, and you've still got to make good decisions and keep control of your temper and whatever else. So it is possible for us to learn how to control ourselves in those states, and it's possible for our dogs to do it too, but we've got to help them with it. When our dog's in that adrenalized state because of another dog being there, that's not the time to teach them that stuff. When the bullets are flying, that's not the time to teach that stuff. When the crowd's screaming, that's not the time to teach that stuff. When do we do it? We do it in practice. We do it in play. When you play with your dog, you are getting them in a highly aroused state on purpose, which is fantastic because we're in control of everything here. We teach our dog how to make choices while charged up. So if you're playing with your dog, but you just throw the ball to the other end of the garden, your dog brings it back, you throw it again, and you do that in a loop. Yeah, you're giving them physical exercise, but what you're going to create is tired and wired. That's not good news, because they're now like really wired, but they've got no energy left, and they're not going to make good choice because they're overtired and overwired. Not good. And we're going to just make them fitter to make the bad decisions for longer with more energy. We don't want that. And when you're then moving into like certain breeds like collies and stuff, you can create like a lot of neurotic behavior and just loops of chasing the ball. You'll have heard fetch is bad for dogs. It's not, but looping fetch for hours on end is. If you've ever played with your dog and been like, right, I'm going to play with this dog till it's absolutely shattered, you'll notice it can sometimes take a while if your dog's in good shape. If you've ever made your dog think while playing, it takes about 10 minutes for them to be absolutely floored. That's where the secret lies. When you play with your dogs, we get them as charged up as you possibly could. I really wish I'd filmed the session I did earlier today, because we did exactly this. He's big, he's daft, he's fun, a bit too much fun, but he doesn't make good choices when he's all giddy. Today we were teaching him, like, he loves playing, so I was playing with him like as hard as I've played with a dog. He's a big boy, I'm lunging him around, I'm pulling on this tug side together, I'm shoving him, he's knocking me over, I'm throwing the ball to the other end of the garden, and I'm out of breath, he's all fired up. And then we started working on, right, now sit. And he had to wait while I threw the ball, and if he didn't, I'd like stop him with the lead and reset him. And he had to, like, he was looking at me and the ball's gone, and he's like, I want the ball. So he's adrenalized, and that translates to, I want to go to that dog. I want to go to that ball. And I've told him, no, wait. And then when he's checked in with me, then he can go get the ball, then we play again, then the decision comes back to life. And it's teaching him how to be in an adrenalized state and still make good choices, just like a footballer or a pro athlete, or just like a soldier in a war zone, or any other example like that you can think of. Anyone that operates under high stress and still makes decisions and makes the right decisions, they're able to make adjustments like in an adrenalized state. That is what we're trying to teach our dogs. So if you've got a dog that loves a good play, use that. There is nothing else that you can do to get your dog in a heightened state but still be able to control what they do, like whether they get rewarded or not. Once there's another dog there, we're in it now. We're on the pitch in front of 50,000. We're in the war zone with the bullets flying. We're in that situation where I need to be able to just do the right thing now. And what we want is when they go into that, they've done this, or they've done a version of this in play. They have disengaged from the toy and come back to us. They've done a sit instead of flying after the ball. They've let go of the toy and give it back to you and been polite about it, even though they're absolutely fizzing for the toy. I can't think of many things that give us the level of bonus and level of benefit to reactivity training that this does. So I always use Albus, my border collie, as an example. He's a stooge dog. I bring him with me on sessions sometimes. He's often going to be in an adrenalized state when that's happening. He's got a German Shepherd over the street screaming at him, barking at him, like making out that it wants to kill him. He's probably going to have a bit of adrenaline going. It'd be weird if he didn't. But he's also able to just stay in a down for me and then run over to me when I need him to, and be like, or walk just nicely with me while that dog's there to be a live distraction. And he's doing all of that. He's following the instructions. He's doing really well, as though that dog isn't there, even though he's getting backed at by another dog, or he's in a state of like, yeah, he's got a bit of adrenaline going on, but he's still able to operate. He's still able to make the right decisions. So most of that I did by teaching him to play, but teaching him in play, teaching him, like, I throw the ball, but if I call you, you've got to come back instead of running after the ball. I'm not doing that to be mean. Like, Mrs. always thinks, like, I love the ball, and then he's sprinting after it, and I'm like, I was to me, and he's got to run back to me, and she's like, oh, it's mean. It's a little bit, but it's also teaching him to disengage something he really wants, because you want to see Albus when there's a ball going. He really wants that ball. It's teaching him to disengage it, get back to me, or disengage it and lie down. If you can do it on chasing a ball at full sprint, if he can do it chasing a ball at full sprint, he can do it when there's a dog there, or at least he's got a chance to. A lot of dog owners, like, the dog can't behave themselves in play because they're adrenalized. They can't behave themselves when a guest comes around because they're all excited and fired up. well, they're not going to be able to do it when there's another dog barking at them. But if they can do it during play, their nervous system has enough control that we can maybe take it out and use it around other dogs. So all of this will have sounded like a lot, but it's not as much as you probably think. We boil that down a lot to like just exactly what it needs to be. But essentially, yes, no, we need both of those. We need motivation for a reward from whether it's food or whether it's play. We need the off switch. We need them to be able to operate under adrenaline. If we've got all of those things in place, we're off to a decent start, and we've got a very high chance of being able to fix reactivity. The other bit then comes down to our handling, our technique, and our timing. And that's where I can't help you as much on a live call, because obviously everyone does it different. Everyone's dog's different. I can't be hold the lead like this or anything, because it depends on you guys. But if you are struggling and you do want some in-person one-on-one help, then drop us a message. I think there is a link knocking around somewhere. You can book a call. We'll have a chat free. No problems. Find out if it'd be a good fit. But if you have all of those things in place, we stand a very good chance. The dogs where I'm we've not and especially in the past where I'm I've got nowhere with that dog. Doesn't happen much now. It doesn't happen nowadays. It really doesn't. But it's happened in the past where I've got nowhere with that dog. There was at least one or two of those things missing that the people never really managed to get in place, and it just means you're swimming against the tide. You're never going to really get a transformation. But if you've been through my Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and whatnot, you'll have seen the transformations. What those dogs all have in common is that their owners have smashed those preparation bits, that their owners have smashed those getting the dog ready to be trained in reactivity. And a lot of this transfers over to recall as well. It's a very similar thing. A lot of the dogs where I've got them fully off lead, and you'll have seen them on my Instagram, Facebook and stuff, and the reviews, the dogs that I've got fully off lead, they had all of this sorted. Their owners had done all of this with my guidance, with my help, but they'd done it all. And it's the ones where I've turned up and people are yeah, I've not really done any of that, where I'm I don't know if we're going to get this sorted then, because I'm essentially trying to teach a dog that's not ready to be taught. And it makes my job harder, and it makes their job so much harder, because I can maybe get away with certain things because I've got good technique, I've got good timing, I've practiced it on a couple of thousand dogs. They haven't got that technique and timing. But if they had all of the other things in place, it makes up for a bit of a lack of technique and timing. I might be able to make something happen while I'm there, but they're not going to be able to keep it up, and eventually they'll fail. So it's a bit of consistency. It's a bit of, if you wanted to, I don't know, you wanted to get a six-pack, you're probably gonna have to lay off the kebabs a little bit. You're probably gonna have to get your steps in and maybe go to the gym a little bit. It's not that hard in terms of, it's not that complicated, but it's not easy. But your dog doesn't know any of that. Your dog just knows it's struggling. So if you really want to get to a point where you're I can take my dog anywhere, people are oh God, is that the same dog? These things I love hearing of clients, people have said, oh my God, is that the same dog? That's always a nice thing to hear, because it's working. Or you want to be able to take them on holidays, because people get dogs and you kind of usually envision, taking them somewhere like a caravan or a lodge somewhere, or, to the lakes or wherever people want to take the dogs, all these nice places, Scarborough, Filey, I know those are dog hotspots, or wherever else. And you're just I just don't want to take them. It's going to be an absolute train wreck. It's going to be horrible. And we end up getting we feel guilt that we didn't take them with us, or we just don't go at all and we don't get holidays. If you want to be able to get through all that, you want to be able to take your dog for a nice walk and stop off in a pub afterwards and get a pint, get all these things in place. Obviously you can watch this, you should be able to rewatch this video, but if you really want to just nail this down for good, we've still got some space before summer truly kicks in to get a few more dogs started and sorted, so that our behavior boot camp, it's a 6-week program. It's not we're not doing this over years or anything. It's a 6-week program plus the prep stuff that I've mentioned there, and the results are absolutely fantastic. There's a guaranteed we're doing money back guarantee. If you can find me another dog trainer around here that does that, I'll be amazed, because they're just not as good as they think, and they don't really back them. They don't put the money where the mouth is. We do a money back guarantee, or if extra sessions are needed, they don't cost any more, and you get access to me whenever you want. You can message me whenever. I'm not going to reply at 3 a.m, but I'll get back to you as quickly as I can with any questions that you guys have. So you've got a dog trainer in your pocket all day round. access to the online community, the videos that are in there, it's all laid out for you. Everyone's dead supportive. Everyone's going through or has just gone through similar things that you're going through. They've been hiding behind cars too. They've been going out for walks at 4 or 5 in the morning. They've been feeling horrendous and guilty that they're not taking the dog out enough because they just can't risk them misbehaving, or they're just too embarrassed, or whatever else they're feeling. If you really want help with any of this, if you're truly interested about getting it fixed for good, being able to take your dog everywhere, being able to just look forward to walks and not dread them, then I'm here for you. Book a call. There's a link in the comments, or just shoot us a message if you're not sure if it's the right thing for you, and I shall send you the link and we'll book you in that way. But yeah, we can. It's fixable. It's not one of those things like people come to us and they're like, oh, the vet said they're just going to be like this, or we paid $3,000 in Zoom calls with a behaviorist that never met my dog and just said, oh, you just have to avoid dogs forever. You just have to not take them certain places. It's all bollocks. Excuse my language. It's nonsense. It's fixable. It's not a life sentence. It doesn't have to be. It can be fixed in a few weeks. Easy. Well, not easy. That was the wrong word. But it's not that complicated when you've got someone that knows what they're doing. So yeah, if anyone does want help with that, shoot us a message. We'll have a chat. If you want to book a call, we can do. If you're a bit like skeptical or you're not sure, check out our reviews on Google or Facebook. If you want me to like put you in touch with anyone who's worked with us that has a similar breed, happily do that. Know that we've got customers that we've worked with in the past, people we've worked with in the past, that would be quite happy to have a chat with you and be like, explain how it went with them and how they found it. A lot of you're not going to find that with a lot of dog trainers, but I want people to know that when they're coming with me, we're going to fix this. And if they know that other people have done it with me, it can sometimes help. So if anyone wants a bit of extra proof, I'm sure plenty of our successful clients that we've helped will be happy to like give you that. Yeah, it works. And then from there, you've got access to me forever. So if you're feeling like it's all slipping back a little bit, a year from now, I'm still around. I can still help. But yeah, hopefully that was really useful. Gives you kind of everything that goes into fixing a reactive dog outside of technique and timing and like technical skill, because that's where you kind of need someone on hand to watch you and to guide you. I'm going to give it a few minutes for any questions. So if anyone that's been watching this, or anyone that's still watching, has anyone got oh, thank you, Michelle. Anyone got any questions or anything anything about this that they're not sure how it would apply to their dog? Because obviously I've whizzed through a lot of it there. It'd be handy if anyone's like, how does that work in my situation? Because they're all so different. If anyone's got any of those questions, obviously you can message them to me outside of this, but it'd be great to answer them here and now, so that other people can see the answers too. Yeah, anyone got any questions about just reactivity, or anyone got a reactive dog and they're kind of struggling to see how any of that would apply to them, or anything along those lines? Or is everyone quite happy? No, this hasn't been a very interactive video. I apologize. I kind of had a script in mind and wanted to go through it, but I am actually live. Like, I'm here. I can speak to you guys. So if anyone's got any questions about anything we've covered there, or anything that I didn't cover that you want to know about, I'll give it a minute for anyone to pop anything in there. And if not, I'll let y'all sod off and enjoy the rest of your Friday night, because you've probably got better things to be doing than listening to me waffle on. But I appreciate everyone that's watched. It looks like there's been quite a few people throughout it that have watched. Hopefully, even if just one of you gets the answers you need out of this, I'd be absolutely chuffed that I spent an hour to do it. And we'll probably do a few more of these, because it's obviously helpful to some of you. When I've done them in the past, people have found it really useful. So yeah, Debbie, I missed a lot tonight. It should go like that. It should go back up, Debbie, once I've finished. Hope Beffy's doing all right, by the way. How is she? She's feeling better? Is she on the mend? But yeah, the video should go up when I'm done. It usually takes a little while, and then it like posts it, so you should be able to watch the whole thing. Yeah, you're very welcome, Daryl. Thank you so much for watching. Hope it was really useful. But yeah, Debbie, how is Bethy? How's she? We've been wondering about her. And then Amy's been wondering as well. Sounds like some advice was toy driven. What if your dog doesn't do toys? Yeah, that is a good question. Yeah, not all dogs play. Some dogs can build a play drive. Oh, she's okay. Good. Yeah, you can build play drive to a point with some dogs. Some dogs naturally have a higher play drive than others. They just do. Like my two are the prime example of this. Albus is the most like play driven dog you can imagine. He will play forever. Like if I ever like wanted to like accidentally murder my dog, I'd definitely do it by just throwing the ball until his heart give out. Like it's endless. Rune, not so much. He's not got that same like food drive. He's a cavalier as well, just like yours. He's a cavalier, but his food drives off the scale. His food drives off the scale. His nose really good. His yes is really good. He still gets plenty of exercise. He gets plenty of like chance to do sniffing and stuff instead. Just he's not really one for playing. Like he'll chase. He'll bat a ball around like a kitten for a little bit. Not all dogs have play, so that advice in there, it was definitely for the ones that do have a really high play drive. That being said, we can really build a play drive. I've not done it with Rune, but I'm tempted to make a bit of like some videos on it and see if I can crack it with him. But typically, dogs that could have a higher play drive but don't, there's toys lying around all over the house playing dead. Toys and play are supposed to recreate hunting and fighting, the ways of like getting those behaviors out in a healthy way. If the toy is lying dead on the floor all day, it's not resembling prey in any way, so it's not really likely to get chased. So what I always recommend is toys all go away. They're not just lying around all over the place, but when we get them out, they come to life. We want very short play sessions. If you've got a low toy drive, low play drive, very short play sessions. When they then give us any level of like, I'm interested in this, we have a few seconds and then we put the toy away. Very cruel. But it leaves them wanting more. And then we don't let them have it for a few hours. And when we get it back out, ideally, we do the same thing and the same thing until they're like, right, I'm not missing my chance. I want to play with this. And then we extend those play sessions. We keep them very interactive. It's never, oh, just throw the ball down the garden. It's never, oh, let's play tug. It's we're playing. We're in this. We're really going. When you then get to the point where your dog's like really into it, you stop. The toy goes away. It drives them mad. The example that I've always used for this, so it was if any of you are ever into your golf, Padraig Harrington, he was a golfer way back, not that long ago. He was Ryder Cup captain. He basically said the way that he like tells people to get kids into golf is you take them to the driving range, and as soon as they hit one ball and it goes like up in the air and straight, take them home. They'll be desperate to come back. And you make it fun, like little short, sharp sessions with them, and then leave them wanting more instead of like trying to coach them on exactly how to hold the club and how to hold this. No, let them have a bit of fun and then kill it while they're having fun, because then all they'll think about until the next time is how much fun that was because they finished on a good one. Try those things. But yeah, I am of the opinion that some dogs, you just, especially like dogs are a little bit older sometimes, or dogs that never learn to play, sometimes it's hard. But if you can unlock play, it is a gold mine of progress for reactivity. Michelle, how to recall when they're chasing the ball? Do you stand on the long line? I can do it once the ball is stopped, but not while it's moving. It's an advanced one. It is. Like Albus being able to do that, it's pretty advanced. But I would always start it with short, because we don't want them running up full tilt and then hitting the end of the long line like a, like whiplash. But yeah, long line, so you're already halfway there. The way I would do it would be, you have the long line, you throw it a short way, you start to move away. So you're here, ball's here. You stand here, dog's with you, we throw it, and you start to move away. You call them, and if they're about to get to the ball, you give that little tug on the lead. I would start before that, though, doing like, can you sit while I throw the ball? Can you just let it go? and then go get it? Can you do like more of a retrieve than a fetch? Like, can you be still while the ball flies out? If they can't do that, they're not going to do they're not going to do a 180 and come back for it. But I would start with, can you sit and have the lead on? Like, did the one I was telling you about today. I just had his lead on him, and I was playing with him and doing whatever. But then if I told him to sit and I chucked the ball to one side, if he went after it, I'd just like little pop on the lead and be like, no, sit. And then when he sat and he looked at me, I'd make him wait a little bit. And then I'd be like, go get it. And eventually then we could throw it and he'd sit and he'd let it hit the floor and he's like, can I go? So like that's step one of being able to like recall them from chasing the ball. But it's a really big thing to try and build towards. If your dog can recall off a ball, you can fix anything. Like if your dog's sprinting after a ball and you can get them to 180 off it, you're fine. Like nothing's going to be beyond you. If you can get to that point, you'll be able to do anything if you can achieve that. But I don't know of many dogs that I've ever gone to that have had that straight out the gate when I've got with them, when I've started working with them. So that'd be a really good one to work with. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, start static, just so he's not, so dog's not like bumping into the end of the long line and doing a backflip and ended up in the vets with a bad back. But yeah, once you do it, do move on to like moving and do it like short distances, throw the ball, have the lead. If he goes after that instead, like just give that little tug to make sure and then just keep reloading and trying again until he actually gets it right. But yeah, definitely start static. Cool. Anyone else got any other questions on the reactivity front, or anything I've not covered there that you're kind of hoping would be covered, or anything that you found, or has anyone heard anything there where you're like, oh God, I didn't understand that. I didn't realize that was part of it. That's maybe found anything really useful there, just so I know for future videos what people might have found really valuable there. Please sound off in the comments. No, nothing. Okay. I'll take that as a good thing then. I'll take that as I've answered all the questions that everyone's got tonight. But yeah, I hope people have found that valuable. As I said, we'd love to have a chat with anyone that's struggling with this, that is actually serious about getting it fixed, and being able to take the dogs wherever they want and being able to, enjoy life with them a little bit more and not have to dread going out. If you're really serious about it, we'd love to have a call with you. We'd love to have a chat with you, and just decide if you sound like it's a good fit for you. If it's not, no problem. But hopefully we can at least give you something to help you a little bit. But yeah, hopefully that was useful. And thank you all very much for listening to me drone on a Friday night for an hour. It's most appreciated. And I'll try and do a few more of these, because I say this whenever I do these, but hopefully I'll do a few more because people seem to find them useful, and that's always good. Right, have a good night, everyone.